Welcome to the Baseball Together podcast with your hosts, Blackjack Brad and Briggy Blue Eyes. And now, Baseball Together. Baseball family, welcome to this Tuesday's episode of the Baseball Together podcast. I'm Brig, and I got Mr. Bradman here with me. How are you, Mr. Bradman?
I'm great. Had an exciting and fun weekend of baseball. I've already turned a game off because I was disgusted. So, mid-season form, if you might say.
yeah, you're in stride now with the Mariners.
Yeah.
Is it the Mariners? Is that how you turned off?
Oh yeah, Little League defense. Yeah. Nothing makes me more angry than Little League defense and terrible umpiring. So, yeah, we saw all of it this weekend. How are you, Brig?
Justifiably so. I'm great. I am very great. We are going to get into why in a moment, but a couple of housekeeping items for the baseball family. A couple things. First, don't forget to join us. We're going 9:30 p.m. Thursday night live broadcast. That will be through the rest of the season. That includes the playoffs. Don't forget to jump in and party on with us on Thursday Night Lives. We take comments, we read them on the show, we have active discussions if we have time for it, which we often do, and we are excited to see you there. So, get your sunflower seeds out and come hang out with us at 9:30 Thursday Night Live. Speaking of sunflower seeds, that just happens to be one of our very favorite things to do here on the show is eat sunflower seeds. And one of the things that we did is we reached out to Chinook Seedery, and we say it all the time, they are the best seeds ever. They're printed on the package as the best seeds ever, and that is a bold claim that they follow through with. We know. We reached out to them. They are fabulous. I am a forever Parman Pep guy. Brad, are you still on your Hatch chili kick?
Always. Today, though, I'd say my seed of the day today, Brig.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Is lemon pepper.
Ooh.
Because they reformulated the lemon pepper recently, and it's a little more lemony to go along with that really good pepper, and it's fantastic. I love it.
Baseball family, if you have not got a chance to try Chinook seeds, you absolutely have to, and we have hooked you up with a 10% off discount code. That goes for any order you want to make over at ChinookSeedery.com. You can use code BTPOD, so baseball together, acronym, the abbreviated BTPOD at checkout. That'll give you 10% off. That supports us. That supports you. That supports Chinook, the great people over there, the great work that they do. And honestly, they are the best seeds ever. So go ahead and get yourself some. ChinookSeedery.com, code BTPOD. Get yourself 10% off now. Last thing I want to advise you on is the best way to stay in touch with us is to jump over to, any of our social media sites. You can follow us, but YouTube is the best place to get all of everything we're doing. But you can also listen if you're an audio-only participant with the show. That is just fine. We're on Spotify, Apple, and anywhere else you can get your podcasts. But wherever you get us, don't forget to subscribe. And if you can rate the show or review it, go ahead and do that. It helps us more than you know. But we drop content every single day throughout the season. And even in the off season, we're here every week. But 3 shows per week during the season. We've got a Tuesday morning, which you're listening to right now. We've got Thursday Night Lives, and we're dropping a Sunday now. Whew, it is. We are cooking with gas heat is what we're doing. It is awesome. So we're excited for that. Today we have 2 topics. 2. We usually do 3 to 5. Today we're doing 2 because they are very interesting. And the first one we're going to talk about, I guess there's 3 today, but the first one we're going to talk about that's really big deal are the Torpedo bats. I think this is breaking baseball is the way I'm thinking about it. It's breaking baseball. And there's a lot of controversy surrounding the Yankees and their Torpedo bats. They recorded 15 home runs within the first 3 games of the season. They came at the Brewers. Literally, they came up swinging. They outscored the Brewers 36-14. I should have my Yankees hat on for this. But instead, I'm wearing my new Spartan Burgers hat. Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Family and I will be at their opening game tonight. Very excited. Okay, so the Yankees, they swept, I don't even know if swept is the right word. I mean, they pummeled the Brewers, and
That's
Nestor
a better
Cortez
word.
came out and got shellacked on the mound for his return to Yankee Stadium after he was traded to Milwaukee. Now, let's see. A bat is typically shaped in a cone. Let's say an average
If you're
cone
watching,
shape. Yeah,
this is a
there you
regular old
go.
bat.
And it
I
kind
came
of
prepared.
tapers. It kind of tapers from the shaft handle all the way up. The barrel sort of tapers out. It flares outward till you get to the head of the bat. And then occasionally, depending on the player, depending on the brand, you'll see it scooped out of the head, right? The very
Cup
tippy
it.
top of the
Yeah.
bat will be cupped and scooped out, which means that just a couple of ounces and a couple of uh, bits of mass, I guess, I don't know. They take some sawdust out of the top, and some guys believe that that helps them pull the bat head through the zone a little easier, a little faster, which they argue
It
helps
helps
with a
to
lot of things.
it helps with the distribution of the weight on the bat. It does make the bat head a little bit lighter. Some guys help it can help to um I mean not by like a lot, I don't think, but it can help to kind of level the weight distribution of the wood of the bat. So
Yeah.
so here's the thing. I remember this is the test we used to do in high school with even with metal bats is you find the center of gravity. You find where the bat is
Mm-hmm.
balanced, right?
Right.
Like there were some bats you could be like almost to the end because the barrel was so heavy
Yeah.
that that's where it would be balanced, right? But there were others where you're like almost smack dab in the middle because it was so well distributed, so evenly distributed.
Evenly balanced. Yeah.
Personally, Brig,
Mm.
I
Mm.
preferred a heavier barrel,
Right.
right? So I wouldn't be one cupping the end of my bat. I played with guys who preferred a more even distribution, so they would essentially be cupping, having the end of
Right.
their bat cupped. Right? So continue with the torpedo bat description.
So these new torpedo bats look more like bowling pins, where from the
Mm-hmm.
handle all the way up, it tapers like it normally would, and then it reaches the widest point closer to the label on the bat rather than the head of the bat, which is typically near the widest point. And instead of maintaining its diameter, it then tapers back in a little bit, like you would see on the bottom of a bowling pin from its widest point to the bottom. And so they look like almost like diamond shapes. That's an exaggeration, but only because I do not have a better way to describe it.
I think a
Where
bowling pin is the perfect description. It looks exactly like
perfect.
the way a bowling pin does.
It does. It looks like a
And I
bowling
will say
pin.
this is one thing too though, Brig, is that they're not all quite that stark. There are some where the barrel has just been moved, the sweet spot has been moved slightly
Yeah.
more toward the label, and it doesn't have that stark taper at the end. Like I don't know, was that Volpe whose bat had that stark taper at the end, making it look like a bowling pin?
Volpe's especially is especially stark. I think Jazz
Because I,
Chisholm's is pretty stark,
Mhm.
and Austin Wells had a pretty sharp taper.
Cody Bellinger was not quite so stark, but
I
you could
agree.
tell. Like you wouldn't have noticed it unless it was pointed out and you really took a look at the picture of it, and you can tell that it's not a normal looking bat. But
Right. Now, Michael Kay, speaking of pointing it out, Michael Kay, the Yankees play-by-play guy, is the one that brought it to everyone's attention during the game. He said,
Mhm.
"Why don't you look at the way these bats are shaped? They're kind of strange." And then he went on to highlight, I guess, continue to highlight it throughout the game. We got the information, okay? And by now, you should have the information too. But here's the deal. We're going to give it to you, okay? The what they've done is they've taken the sweet spot and they moved it to a point that is data driven, customized to the point at which that particular player makes contact with the ball most often. So Anthony Volpe gets jammed a lot. He takes balls way closer to his hands than he does closer to the head of the bat. So they moved the densest part of the bat, they moved the greatest amount of mass in the wood down to that point, closer to that point where he makes most contact. And it's working. Wouldn't you know it?
So, real quick though, is the data-driven part is what's extremely important with this, because I watched a post-game interview with Bryson Stott from Sunday, and they said, "What do you think about
Right.
this?" He's like, "Cool." He's like, "I've
Right.
already contacted my guy over at Victus." He's like, "They're looking at it because I've been down to their swing lab. They have all my data. We're gonna see what we can figure out." Right? So,
Yep.
if it works for Bryson Stott to move the sweet spot on his bat, they're gonna do it. But if they bring back the data and say, "No, you're hitting on the sweet spot as it is, you're good," they're not gonna do anything, because guess who is
Exactly.
not using a torpedo bat, Brig?
Aaron Judge.
Aaron Judge, because he said, "Look what I've been doing. I don't need a different bat." And he's absolutely
No,
right.
he's right. And David Sampson brought it up. Guys who are going to take a competitive advantage as often as possible. When there are mistakes being made, almost as often as possible, right? He brought up 65% of the time. If you're succeeding greater than, 35% of the time, you're a superstar. Even
Yeah,
35% of the time, you're a
especially in today's
superstar.
game. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're going to fail 65, 68, 72, 75% of the time, why not
Yeah.
look for every single advantage? This is nothing more than an additional competitive advantage that they have found within the rules established by Major League Baseball. This is another thing that we have to at least cover, is that there is nothing illegal about this. We've read the rules. Everybody else has already read the rules, and it is very clearly within the rules established by Major League Baseball. And we'll get into this discussion a little bit later, but before I move on to that, I think it's important that this is not new. We have to identify that other guys around the league are using these torpedo bats, if that's what we're going to keep calling them, and they've used them in the past. There were guys using them last season. It's
Yeah, a
just
couple, and there were a few guys in the Arizona Fall League using them too. I didn't know that until today, but it's kind of like, okay, it's just the reason that we have, and this is the thing, Brig, the reason that there's so much conversation around this, and I'm gonna call it controversy. Is it
I would.
warranted? Probably not. But the reason that there is so much controversy with this right now, today, is because the Yankees went and played home run derby
Yeah.
against the Milwaukee Brewers. By the way, might be terrible pitching staff, because the only guy who was throwing anything good over the weekend was Freddie Peralta. Cameron
Yeah.
Maven pointed out, he's like, nobody else throws over 93. He's like, that's batting practice.
Yeah.
And then
Exactly.
today, by the way, Brig, on Monday, the Royals beat the Brewers 11-1 and hit a couple of dingers. So, it was like the
It
perfect storm. Like, what are
That's what
these
I
new
was going to
bats?
say.
Why are they teeing off? Like, what's going on? Right? It's like bad pitching, a team that mashes anyway, now has leveled the playing field with some of the best pitching in history with these new torpedo bats, possibly, right? Like, it was the perfect
Wh-
storm to make it look really, really bad. I think that the Yankees they're going to come back down to earth. You're not going to hit 15
It's
home
not
runs
going
in
to
three
happen every
games
game.
against everybody. It's not because of torpedo bats. Get out of here with that.
No, it's not. So for those of you wondering whether or not this is cause and effect, if there's a direct causal relationship, and there are only 3 guys on the roster who are actively using these torpedo bats, 4, I should say, there are 4.
Well, and I don't think all
There's
of them have said that they're even going to use them for every at bat either.
exactly. So there are 4 guys that have used them to great success: Wells, Chisholm, Volpe, and Belly. And now it's like there are still 9 roster spots in that lineup, and the other guys aren't doing it. Aaron Judge has already hit 4 home runs in the first 3 games of the season, and he hasn't changed a damn thing. So get off Get off of it and look around the league because Nico Horner's using it, Dansby Swanson's using it, Yandy Diaz is using it, Ryan Jeffers is using it. So this is not a big, like,
And
it
Ryan
just,
Jeffers went 0 for on Sunday using it, by the way.
see, you still
So,
have to make contact. You still have to put the bat on the ball. This just gives you a better chance of barreling it and getting a hard hit ball, which is a
mhm.
statistic we track, right? Baseball tracks every little teeny thing. That's why analytics departments, that's why front offices, that's why bat manufacturing companies can do this, is because every minute detail is being tracked.
Yep.
Everything.
Yeah. Exactly.
So,
Well, because you think about this too. Think about back 100 years ago, when baseball was beginning to shift from the dead ball era to the live ball era, right?
yeah,
Because of Babe Ruth, right? How
sure.
many guys were looking at the bat that Babe Ruth was swinging and being like, "That's not a wooden dowel. There's some taper to that. Maybe
Exactly.
just a
And there
little bit, but
was.
there's a little more taper to it, right?"
Yep.
Because
And there was taper.
you and I, we went to the Ty Cobb Museum in
Mm-hmm.
Georgia, and those bats were basically the same width from top to
They were,
bottom.
yeah, there's very, very little slope and taper. and
I'm
but
not kidding when I
Ruth's,
say wooden dowel.
yeah, exactly. But Ruth's bat does, it required a knob on the bottom so that it wouldn't fly out of his friggin' hands.
Right. And
And that thing is
the
a tree
knob,
log.
having a knob, gives you a little bit more torque
Right. And so
because
let's
you can
talk
swing it
about the
harder and
knob.
it's.
Let's talk
Go
about the
ahead.
knob. When fake all-star Jeff McNeil, right,
Oh, yeah,
used
yeah.
that huge chunky knob on the bottom of his bat, everybody
The
thought,
puck.
yeah, they're like, what is that? Well, they redistributed part of the bat's mass to a point where he thought he could bring it through the zone the way he likes to bring it around. Let's talk about the axe bat. That just was an
Same thing.
ergonomic decision. It's just another innovation. It was hot for a while. It's not as hot now. Everybody was up in arms about, wow, this is the coolest thing ever. Maybe it shouldn't be illegal or shouldn't be legal. Maybe it should be. Nobody cares anymore. It's just either in your arsenal or it's not. The end. We don't even notice the axe pad anymore. So this is
Right.
nothing new. You got guys that have the no knob where it just flares a little bit at the bottom and there's no additional bulk of wood to stop your hands from sliding off the end of the bat. Same thing.
Yeah. Well, and I think it was, I had a family member, I think it was my mom, reached out to me, like texted me this weekend and was like, would the Mariners benefit from this? Because you look at a team that's offensively anemic, still apparently. And I
All
was like,
right.
I don't know. There are some guys who might. I could tell you off the top of my head, Julio Rodriguez would not. Because he
Mm-mm.
hits standard barrel, sweet spot to the end of the bat, typically is where his go. And this is the other thing too, Brig, is that this is not like an entirely new concept. Again, I'm going to go back to this Cameron Maven thing that he was talking about. So he was showing his bat and he was saying like he's like, this is my bat and this is a sweet spot on this bat. And then he grabbed another bat as Nelson Cruz's bat. And by the way, the barrel on that thing was like
Yeah. Nellie's bat. Yeah.
massive because he's swinging the boomstick, right? He's like, the
Yeah.
sweet spot on this bat is this. And there was an added like 2.5 inches what he showed on this bat. And he's like, guys have been doing this for a long time. It's just before it was just a matter of can you swing that heavier barrel or do you need a little bit more even distribution, like I was talking about before. That
Yep.
if you swing a bat with a heavier barrel, it's going to have a bigger sweet spot, means the ball is going to go a lot farther because you've got a little bit more room for error than if somebody's got a bat with a more even distribution and a smaller sweet spot. That's all this is. You're
Right.
changing the distribution like you would normally. It's just that it's more pronounced because of the way that they've moved it.
Now, is it ugly? Yeah. Does it get your attention? Yeah. Is it going to cause people uh to ring the alarm bells? Yeah. It's that visually different and you couple that with what the output we saw, you're going to freak people out and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. But
Yeah.
Major League Baseball has come out and officially stated that this is legal. They don't have any issues with this
The
at all.
diameter is still within the parameters that they have established, and so it's a legal bat.
Yep. Now, does that mean that they won't revisit this later if guys just literally pop off? Of course
I
they
don't think
will.
so.
But I
I don't
mean,
think they
they
will, and I don't think they need to, because the game has gotten to be so, like, pitching has gotten to be so good. This is one of the things. So there's a couple things with this. Okay, I
Yep,
can't remember. I was listening to Foul Territory very intently today
I'll bet.
when they were talking about this. One of the things they were saying was, there's so much data for pitchers
Mm-hmm.
that it's almost not fair for hitters, because pitchers can be like, oh, like, not only do I know exactly what my pitch is doing, but I also know exactly these batters' tendencies down to like the last millimeter of their zone, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So there's that. But the other thing is, like we talked about, you still got to put bat on ball. Eric Kratz was like, I could have been swinging a 5 foot long tree trunk, and I still was not going to hit those outside sliders because they just kept getting farther and farther away from me, and I just couldn't hit them. I couldn't lay off of them, couldn't hit them.
Yeah,
He's like, this would
chasing them
not have
all the
helped
way.
me in the slightest. He's like, you still got to be able to put the bat on the ball, and that's the thing that is hard about baseball,
Mm-hmm.
but also separates the greats from the averages, right?
I
The
think,
guys who can do it better than anybody else. Like, the Yankees have an amazing lineup. We know about the bat to ball ability. And
yeah,
then if you can get to the point where you can tailor bats like this to guys within the rules, like, you're gonna see results like you did over the weekend.
here's what's going to happen. Pitchers are going to start to innovate their pitching arsenal. They'll start to move things an inch this way, an inch that way. They're going to stop jamming Anthony Volpe, and they're going
Oh
to
yeah.
try to
I'd be
avoid
pitching in the
that
outside
sweet
corner
spot.
all day long now. You kidding me?
Exactly. And
I'm
that
not
they'll
coming
just
inside on that guy anymore.
no, they'll pull it
Look at
away
what bat
from
he's
him.
using when he comes up to the plate. If he's using that torpedo bat, live on the outside corner. If he's using his
Yep.
regular bat, jam him.
Yep. Exactly. And that's the way somebody described it today as a cat and mouse game. And I was like, "Yep, that's exactly what
Yeah.
it is. And it's
Well, this
always
is the
been
other
that
thing.
way. It's always going to be that way."
I think this is gonna be my last thing with this. Is that moving the sweet spot in on the bat? You know what it does? It actually
Hmm,
takes away some of your power,
for sure.
because according to physics, Brig,
Yeah, do it.
the
Send it.
farther you get away from the fulcrum with your lever, the less power you have. So you actually have more power hitting the ball toward having the sweet spot in your bat being at the end of the bat than being closer to the label. I
Yep.
remember I was like 11 years old and we were all choking up on the bat, and we didn't need to because we were starting to get strong enough where we didn't need to quite so much, you know. And one of our coaches is like, "You're never gonna get a home. You're never gonna hit a home run doing that." He's like, "You're plenty strong to use that bat." I'm like, "Well, I've always been told to choke up." He's like, "No, you hit home runs with a longer bat. Don't choke up. You're plenty strong."
And that's what it comes down to is strength. If you some guys can miss the barrel, the sweet spot, and still hit a bomb. Stanton does it.
Not
Judge
every
does
and
it.
like Judge. I've seen Judge straight up miss a ball and it go out. Like,
Yeah,
he gets he gets to where it would be a routine fly ball with most guys, but he's so strong that it goes out. It happens.
that's exactly right. So you get a guy like Jazz. We know he's got pop. He's just barely missing the sweet spot. Volpe's got pop. He's just barely missing the sweet spot on that. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? That's all
Yep.
this is. That's they've found a way to put the barrel in the most perfect position possible. And it's not going to work forever. And it's not going to work every day. It's just not.
Right.
So, is it cheating? Absolutely not. Get your head out of the gutter or whatever it is. It should it be cheating? I don't think so.
I don't
What
think
do you
so,
think?
because it's like we said, it's gonna level out.
Yep.
You can visibly see where to pitch the guy based on the bat that he's using, and yeah, I I don't think it's cheating. I think I think guys are gonna benefit from it. Like, I think Volpe's average will probably go up a little bit this year
Yeah. Yeah, I bet you're
with
right.
it, but I don't think he's gonna hit 15 more home runs because of it.
No, he won't. I agree with you. Now, you get a pitcher like a DeGrom he's going to pick you to pieces, and it doesn't matter. You could be swinging a tennis racket, and he'll pick you to pieces. It
Right.
won't.
Yeah.
It won't matter. So,
Mm-hmm.
and when you get over on a guy like DeGrom, who's got that much skill, and who knows every single thing there ever was to know about pitching,
Yeah.
then and if you hit him, you're lucky, and you nailed it, and good for you. But 9 times out of 10, guys in that caliber, it doesn't matter. They have to have an off day, or you got to get lucky. So,
Yeah.
the end. Next, Jurickson Profar, he's the Braves outfielder, has officially been suspended for 80 games. He popped hot with a PED suspension, Brad. That is a big fat
Yes, he did.
rut-row, and it's not exciting at all. First of all, we hate
Especially for the
PEDs
Braves.
here. I hate them. And I think that 80 games, first of all, 80 games is the minimum suspension that Major League Baseball will dole. And it is usually reserved for first-time offenders. It has gone up given second repeat offenders, third time through. We've seen guys get really heavy fines and extension and suspensions based on PEDs. And I agree, rightly so. So here's the deal. Violated MLB's performance-enhancing drug policy. Now, the what he took was HCG. Okay, just tell me what that is again, Brad.
It is human chorionic gonadotropin. This Brig is the hormone that pregnancy tests check for.
Oh.
So if he had peed on a pregnancy test, he would have shown up positive.
Uh-huh. Wow,
Yeah.
wee wah.
But so here's the other thing with that is that I remember this was probably 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
No, 13, 14 years ago. There was a hot new diet coming around, Brig, where
yeah.
you either inject HCG or you put the drops under your tongue, and then you only eat like 300 calories a day because this is supposed to help curb your appetite and then like help to like what was it? It was something like help to make it so that your body digests that little bit of food slower so you feel fuller
Full
longer.
longer. Yeah.
Yeah. And that diet didn't work for very long because it was like, oh wait, no, we're just starving ourselves. This isn't doing what we're supposed to be doing. But it's similar to there's a I'm drawing a blank on it right now, but there's a fertility drug that a lot of these guys test positive for as well, and I'm sure it's along the same lines as far as like cycling and things like that, and that's
Yeah.
why they test positive for HCG, and that's why they test positive for that fertility drug. So, but this is the interesting thing, Brig, is that like I saw this come down like 30 minutes before we came on here, right?
Right.
And I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, okay, that checks out.
Yeah. Too bad, but yeah.
Am I the only? It is too bad, but at the same time, though, it explains a whole lot, doesn't it?
Yeah. So last year with San Diego, his batting average was 280, 380, 459. He had a career high 24 home runs, 29 doubles, 85 RBIs, 94 runs. And then he became the Braves' starting left fielder this offseason. 3-year contract, $42 million. And now he's going to miss almost exactly half of the Braves' regular season.
So I
Go
feel like you
ahead.
can sum this up with two numbers. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Last year's WAR 3.6. His high before that was in 2022, 2.9. His
Mm.
OPS plus last year was 134. His high before that was 114 in 2020. It was a very short season, right? Like these are drastically different outlier numbers, and I think we know why now. And like I remember last year,
Yeah.
it was like, man, the Padres have literally the most valuable player in the league because they're only paying him $1 million, and he's putting up a 3.6 WAR. Like this is
Yeah.
amazing, and now we know why.
Yeah. Now we know why. So in order to fill the spot, or I should say backfill the spot, the Braves went out and got Stuart Fairchild. They got him from the Reds. The exchange rate, get ready for this, cash considerations. They're
Does
like,
it say how
we
much
just
they
need a
paid
left
for
fielder.
him?
Give me some money. Okay, you can have him. Here's your cash. Now, so hold on. Let me get into this really quick. Fairchild came into the league in 2021, and in that time, I think what is this his like fifth team or something like that. He's been bouncing all over the place, but
He was
last
with
season,
Arizona, Seattle for a little bit,
a day
the
or whatever.
Giants and the Reds.
Yeah. So in 94 games last season, Fairchild went 215. He had 13 homers and 30 RBIs, 30 bags stolen. He had a 654 OPS. He's 29. Obviously, this will be a depth thing, and it's to certainly to backfill Jurickson Profar. But a couple things that I think are interesting. First, I learned today that the Braves have not been swept in an opening series, like a season opener series, since like 1980. This is the first time, and they just got crushed these last 4 games. Apparently, and I didn't dig, I should verify this, but apparently they're in a 22 inning scoreless streak, are the Braves, and they're 1 for 22 with runners in scoring position. Ugh. Oh, that's bad. That's
Yeah, it's pretty
really,
ugly.
really bad. So yeah. Let's see. I had
Yeah,
one
I
more
heard that
thing.
same 22 inning scoreless streak. I heard that too. Yeah, because it's Saturday, Sunday. They haven't scored since the fifth inning on Saturday.
That's bad news bears.
It is bad news, Bears. And that even, Brig, that was to tie the game up
Oh
in the
no.
fifth. So
That's bad.
they have not had a lead since the fourth inning of opening day.
The Braves bullpen
Sorry,
is
seventh
already
inning.
at a
I apologize.
6.75 ERA across 12 innings of work. That is not a good look. And does that mean that the Braves are struggling this hard, or does that mean the Padres are this good, or is this just a case of the first 4 days of the season?
I think it's a couple things. I think myself included. Sorry, Jim, but I think that one of the things that we forget is that um, the Padres they still got a bunch of guys who can play ball, right?
Yeah.
Like the other day when I was like, "Oh yeah, the Padres are going to miss the playoffs" or whatever it was, or they're in my question mark. I was going through like, "Oh, they got Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis Jr., Jackson Merrill, who's one of my favorite players. They got you Darvish. Like they still have a bunch of guys,
Michael King, Larissa Rise. Yeah.
right? Like
They got
it's
some
like,
dudes.
oh wait, like the question mark was, were they going to get rid of anybody? And they they let Profar walk, and I wonder if it was because they had suspicions. Like the Yankees, I
I
remember when Robinson Cano tested positive, they're like the Yankees let him walk because they had suspicions that he was using PEDs.
100% that's what that was.
So
Yeah,
I'm
that's
pretty
exactly
sure that
right.
the Padres were like, we'll let him go be somebody else's problem next year. Thanks for the memories.
Everybody be quiet. Just whisper.
Yeah.
Don't even whisper. Just shh. Shh.
Close the drapes. We're not home.
Yeah. Turn off the light.
Get down.
Okay, last thing, and then we'll get out of here. The Angels had a position player pitch on opening day. Now, I don't know if you're paying attention or not, but when a position player pitches, that's bad. And there are only two explanations. You're either getting hammered, like crushed by the opposing team, or almost everybody's hurt. And it's opening day. So it's not that almost everybody was hurt. Okay? It doesn't work that way. So the Angels they went down 8-1, and they had infielder Nicky Lopez get the last out of the game in place of Ryan Johnson, who's a rookie. They said, nah, just throw Nicky Lopez out there and just record the final out. Now,
Which is weird because Johnson had been out there, and I'm sure they were like, okay, pitch count, like, we don't want him going above this. But
yeah,
at the same time, though, like, this is my big thing with this
it's
break.
a bad
Like,
look. It's bad.
opening day.
Yeah.
Everybody's rested.
Yeah.
At least they better be.
Yeah.
You need one out, and you have to throw a position player out there. Like, I'll forgive the Ryan Johnson thing if it was a pitch count thing, but you don't have a reliever you can send out there for one pitch or one out who is supposed to be ready to go multiple days in a row as it is.
Yeah.
That's weird. That is so weird to me. However, this is the one thing, is that after that debacle, Brig, the Angels did go on and they won Game 2 and Game 3 of that series.
Which is great.
By outscoring the White Sox by a total of 4-2 after that.
Well, and rightly so. The White Sox, that's what you would expect from them coming out of last season, even though it is against the Angels. And what I find hilarious is that Nicky Lopez, didn't he play for the White Sox?
Yeah, he was
season?
on the White Sox last year. Yeah.
He played for the White Sox last season and also appeared as a pitcher, as a position player pitcher, like 4 or 5 times last season for the White Sox.
Yeah. I honestly, like, I would say at that point I might hang him up, but I'm like, he's still in the show. He's still there.
He's there.
We're
Get
not,
after
you know?
it.
So what the heck?
That's exactly what
not?
I say. I'm not.
So
no.
Here's a funny one for you too, Brig, is that I don't know if these are the White Sox that we're going to see all year. If we see winning 8-1, losing 1-0, losing 3-2, and then today winning 9-0. If they're going to be a boomer bust all year, I don't know. But so far, the White Sox are a fun watch. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah. They really are. And that's weird. That's weird.
It is.
It shouldn't be.
Because last year they were unwatchable.
So for those of you wondering about the Brewers versus the Yankees, let me go back to this since you brought up current events. Today's Brewers-Royals game ended 11-1 in favor of Kansas City.
Right. That's what I was saying. Yeah.
It's like, okay, and riddle me that. It's 12-3 yesterday against the Yankees. I don't think it's the Torpedo Bats.
That's exactly what I was saying, Brig. It's a bad Brewers pitching. These new bats against a team that is offensively very good as it is.
Yep.
Is the perfect storm.
Are the Royals offensively very capable?
Yes, they are. By the way, real quick, Jonathan India on Sunday took 99 off the ear hole from Class A with Cleveland's baseball club.
Yeah.
And today he's in the lineup and goes 3 for 5 with 3 singles, but drove in a couple runs, scored a couple runs.
Wow.
Tough guy. Legitimate tough guy.
He's got an angel with you right now. That's what it sounds like.
You know, it's going to be crazy if tomorrow we find out he's got some concussion. He has to go on the IL for a few days. It's like, dude was balling out. Seeing 3 baseballs. Just hit the middle one, India.
Yeah, hit the middle. I'm seeing 3 of them hit the one in the middle.
Have I told you about that? Have I ever told you about that? I was in high school. I took a fastball off the back of the head when I was batting, and then they're like, "You okay?" And like, "Sure," you know.
I think so.
I'm 15. I'm bulletproof. Absolutely, I'm okay.
Yeah.
And so then I go out there, and they send me out to catch, and I kept missing like pitches. Like during warm-ups, I was missing them. And joking, my coach goes, "Just catch the middle one." I was like, "Well, there's only 2." He's like, "What?" Like, there's not a middle one. There's only 2. He's like, "Get out here, Get back in the dugout.
Yeah, you're done.
Pulled somebody else in to catch.
Here's an ice pack and an ambulance. You'll be okay.
Yeah, I did end up going to the ER after that.
I'll bet. Yeah, exactly. I'll bet you did. I'll bet you did. All right, baseball family, we're gonna let you go. Don't forget to join us on Thursday night, where we will be here live. That'll be 9:30 Eastern time. I guess it's daylight time now for those of us with that stupid rule still in place. Baseball family, if you love daylight savings time, I want you to sound off in the comments and please explain why this time shift is valuable anymore. The slot we're in right now is perfect for me. I don't want to go back. I hate the going back. I want to stay in this mode. Anyway,
I would rather be on Mountain Time than Pacific Time. That's where we live right now.
I know. I just want... Anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I want. The world's not going to change for me. That was the most self-pitying thing I've said in 3 hours.
And with that, baseball family, we're going to head out and we will catch you Thursday night.